Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and so are you. You're watching content like this. You are probably in the process, always in the process of creating what you choose, and that means relationships, finances, mindset, household, income, all these little things these pieces of our lives, and you decided, I don't want to be on autopilot with that anymore. I don't want to take the leftovers. I want to go ahead and get in front of this thing, right? The name of this channel is Manifesting Magic with Dr. J. That's me. Three things that happen when you become honest with yourself. So I, like most other people, have had periods in my life where I was not seeing a situation clearly for exactly what it was, right? And a lot of women do this when they're dating too. They do this with guys and stuff. And I used to hear this a lot when I was growing up. Don't marry a man's potential. Don't marry a man's potential. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does that even mean, right? And what I didn't know at the time was it means that if something is not clear to you in the very beginning, if it's not completely clear, then you can't expect to get that thing later on from other people, right? So if we're applying that same concept to ourselves, when you're into law of attraction and when you're into this type of co-creating the life that you choose, right, you get involved with a lot of environments where people are almost mythical in the way that they approach life and the way that they approach creating and doing things, right? Like they put absolutely no worldly systems around it and no worldly constraints and no worldly realities or levels when it comes to their dreams, right? That's why I did a video a while back on how I created financial stability, right? Because nobody wants to talk about that. They want to know how you became a millionaire, right? And if you're not a millionaire, then what you going to tell me about money, right? But the big deal is that we got to remember the vast majority of a lot of people don't have financial stability. So getting to financial stability first is way more important than shooting to be a millionaire, right? It's not even remotely mentally realistic. And what we find out often, people that usually hit in their lives, they go from straight up working class and they get $1 million for something, whatever. What do they usually do? Because their mindset is not there yet. Most of the time, they give it right back. They give it all away to friends. They buy a bunch of things, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's because people are not exactly sometimes, myself included at different times, honest about who they are and where they are in life and what they have to offer, right? So 3 things that I saw that happens when you are radically, completely, and unabashedly honest with yourself. When you are not trying to hide in your own brain. You know how hard it is to hide from the truth in your own head? Every time the logic starts to happen in your brain, you go, and you go back over there, but they did this. It's so much work. You're in your head all day going in circles because the logic is always trying to come, but then the emotions and the feelings and the delusion of what's really, really happening starts to kick in, and then you're all the way back to square one again, right? So what I find out when you're not running away from the truth in your head about what's actually happening in your life, 3 things happen when you're radically honest with yourself, not with other people, because you don't really know what other people need. You can sit around all day and, the people in your lives and tell them, you need to fix this, you need to fix that. And my experience, when anybody's running around going, you need to fix this, they should be doing this. You need to fix that, you need to fix that, you need to fix that. Because that's truly what you're working from. You're working from your own perspective and how this person is falling short. But generally, you can see where they're falling short because you're falling short in some area or some similar type of area the same way. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be on the same frequency with the people in your space, right? It's just how it works. When you outgrow stuff, you outgrow it. There's no fighting with it anymore. 3 things when you become radically honest with yourself, right? First of all, you get real clear and you can drop delusions, right? Real clear and you can drop delusions, right? Because sometimes in our heads, especially in this society, we have this idea that what we have going on or what we're doing in life is a lot more valuable than it actually is. And this is not to say that what we're doing and what we have is not valuable, because a lot of us have had to work really hard to feel good about who we are and where we are and what we've accomplished in life, right? But sometimes when we build up that self-esteem, we build up those things, they're based on these ideas of what we can create or maybe something that we did get, or a degree or something. It's not based on the wholeness aspect of who you are. It's based on all the material trappings and labels and the titles. So it's not real confidence, and it gets really challenged when you start getting in intimate relationships, because you realize, oh, I built my confidence based on the fact that I was a little bit better than all the people that was around me at any given time. And that's not really a real way to have confidence. That's actually nothing. That just means you were a big fish in a little pond, right? So the goal is to always to try to be confident when you're a small fish in a big pond, to know that even though you're not the smartest, you're not the brightest, you don't have the most to bring to the table, you still have something to offer, right? But not overvaluing that offering, because we're told that, every individual is so special, and every individual is special. Every individual is unique. I always tell my daughter, there's no such thing as a perfect version of you, because you're the only version of you, right? But I'm like, there's a societal perfect of this or that, and it varies from person to person. So it's like this false idea. So sometimes when we're not radically honest with ourselves and where we stand, we're just not clear. We're very delusional about what people have to offer, what we have to offer people, what we deserve in life, what we created in life. I was listening to someone talk, I forget who it was, and they were asking a young lady about, she's saying that she wanted to be a wife. She wants to be a wife. And he was asking her, how have you prepared yourself to be a wife in some sense, right? It's not something that I've ever really put that much time and energy into. I don't come from wives. I don't come from people that were like really good at being wives, and I don't have really good wives. And there's none in my family. And it's not a bad thing. It's just the truth. It's just what it is. I don't think there's anything wrong with not being a wife. But when you don't know that you're not that, that's the problem, right? And it's not an insult if someone says, well, you don't really know how to be a wife, because it is something that you have to learn how to do, right? And so if you decide, well, that's not really something I'm interested in, then it doesn't even affect you if someone says, well, you're not a wife, right? You might be long-term partnership material. You might be short-term 1 year, 2 material, whatever you're deciding, you have to be accountable and know that what you're putting out there is what you're getting back. So you can be very, very clear once you become honest with yourself, and then sit back and think, damn, I was overvaluing this aspect of who I am. I was acting like, my what didn't stink. When in actuality, my situation kind of lines up a lot with those other people's situations. So what am I judging anyway, right? You become way less judgmental. You can let yourself off the hook, and you let other people off the hook too, right? You're not delusional anymore. Another one is, it's like, okay, another point of being delusional kind of thing is like when you go to a job or something like that, or you go to a workplace and you ask people like, what do you want to make? How much money you want to make? Or not even a workplace. You ask young people. This is a prime example, because there's a bunch of young people around me, like growing up now. I can see them more close up and personal. What do you want to do? Be rich by the time I'm 30. How? Well, maybe some investments, or maybe I'll, develop a product. What's that product? That's where it ends. They have no answers. They don't come from a background of anybody who can give them cultural capital, meaning a network that can lift them up. They don't have any financial backing, but yet these plans are really grandiose. And this is what I'm saying. I'm a woman of plans and making high expectations and actually meeting some of those things. So I'm not saying you can't do that, but it's kind of delusional to believe that you can do these things without establishing a really clear path to make it to that goal. And when you see one person or maybe two people out of millions and millions and millions do it, you shouldn't bank yourself on that being the result. You should bank your result on the bell curve. And the bell curve says that you're likely to fall into line with what the most average people are doing. And if you're doing a little bit more than average, then you'll get a little bit more than average. But as far as that, not even 1%, the 0.05% that made it through with no clarity, kind of delusional, and still got to the top, that's not really very common, right? And so it's like the chances are super, super slim. That's like me jumping off this 4th floor balcony. Yes, a lot of people can survive it, but what are the chances? I'm not delusional about what jumping off that 4-foot balcony is going to do, what it can do, right? I know that I can survive, but I'm not going to take those chances. So when you're radically honest with yourself, you can get over being delusional, because you're the only one losing in that sense of it, right? And then you keep trying to put these unrealistic expectations on other people that you are barely meeting yourself. You can put all that in your past. It feels good. Number two is you go ahead and bottom out when you're honest with yourself. You bottom out because this is the thing. I think it was, I can't think of his name. He's one of the motivational speakers like from the 70s or something like that. But Jim Rohn said that you don't change anything in your life until you become disgusted with it, right? And for me, disgust comes from bottoming out. When you're radically honest with yourself, that means like smacking yourself upside the head and saying, you know what? This is the result I've gotten. So apparently I am wrong about this. Maybe I do need help with this. Maybe this is the wrong way to think about it, right? Because my results are telling me that what I'm doing is not exactly giving me the results I think I should have, right? So when you can go ahead and bottom out, you can get to the disgust part, and then you can start cleaning out all of the junk that have held you up from getting to the next level of who you are in general, right? Because most of us don't see the error in our ways until we bottom out. Especially when you have what's regarded in society as a higher self-esteem or a higher self-confidence, and you are a higher achiever, and you've been told this often in your life, and you pride yourself on what you've accomplished and what you do and what you have and what you are capable of having and all that stuff. It's very hard for you to come down to reality and bottom out on a lot of behaviors, because much of your bad behavior, because it comes off as confident, it's congratulated in the world. It's propped up, and people, pat you on the back for it and say, you go, girl, you're an amazing woman. Ooh, if I can only be half of what you are. And you're just like, yeah, I am amazing. Look at me. And then when it's not the case, you have to bottom out, because you're just like, hey, man, I'm amazing, but you know what? My still stinks. And it's very, and it's just the truth of the matter, right? So you can go ahead and bottom out. You can go ahead and accept those hard, awful truths and realities. Cry about it for about a week. Bash yourself upside the head for being on the wrong road or thinking the wrong way about it for so long. And then you can do number three. You can begin correction. It's my favorite thing, right? Because that's the whole goal. That's the whole point. If you don't put yourself in a position for correction, then you're just going to repeat the same patterns over and over again. I was just telling my daughter, I always try to find these moments of radical honesty for myself. I'm not excluded. I know, but these people around me, my children, my partner, I am always self-evaluating, and I'm always saying, oh my God, that needs to be checked. That needs to be checked. But there were some behaviors that I held on to that I was clear about not allowing to get out of my space. I was clear about not being honest about. And I had to be like, girl, if you're going to be the person that you say you are, if you're going to grow and be the woman that you want your daughters to be and have radical honesty with themselves, forget other people, then you need to own up to this, right? You need to own up to it. There's no way of getting around that. So when you start to begin correction, that's when the fun part starts. Because that negative energy that was holding you down and making you not see the honesty and making you walking around in the world and not attract what you think you should get because your energy is off, because you're not being honest with yourself and you're attracting people who are less than honest with themselves too. Because you're not going to get better than that. It's just not going to happen. Friendships, men, jobs, all that kind of stuff. People are not being honest with themselves. Man, I just had an epiphany. The last contract I did, okay, so I was dealing with this thing with not being honest with myself about some really big aspects of my career and about what I've built and what I haven't built, right? And I had this attitude like I built a really specific outcome with what I've been doing, when really a lot of my career I spent playing, which was fine. I thought it was great. I spent dabbing in different things and hanging out and kind of figuring out. Blessed as I am in that sense, I was able to put those things together and create the talent that I market now, because it's actually a very lucrative talent that's needed everywhere, higher ed, corporations and all that. But in the meantime, during that thing, I had to step back and think, man, this place is insane. These people are lying to themselves at this business. They're completely out of whack. And just now I thought about it. I was completely out of whack when I was there and I didn't even know it. So sometimes we don't even know. I was thinking that I was so much better than what they were doing in that environment. But if I was, I wouldn't have attracted it and I wouldn't have been there. And the minute I was over it, I was over it. I don't got to look back at anything like that. I was over it. And it was right when I was going through the motions of being honest with myself about some very fundamental things that I had been not giving myself clarity with, that I had been floating on a cloud about, right? So when you start to begin correction, that's when the fun part starts, right? That's when you get to see like, man, the weight is gone. Like what you think you're going to feel is only what you feel when you're denying the honesty. When you get to the honest part and you be radically honest with yourself and you cut the delusions out and you go ahead and let yourself bottom out and feel like crap and then raise yourself back up, the correction part is so nice because you're like working from a blank slate. You're like wide open. You're like happy and free and your energy is flowing again and it's flowing again. And you're just like, what was holding me up? What was holding you up is holding on to the old paradigm, which was a lie to yourself because it did not apply. It wasn't a reality, right? And so when you get to the correction part, then you can see so clearly so many incidents in your life where you've allowed your lack of honesty to yourself create negative environments, negative instances, or less than honest environments, or places where there was no clarity, or people were not being honest with you, or you always felt like you were under the gun, right? So I just felt like I needed to share that because, man, radical honesty with yourself is way more important than what other people see. Forget what other people see. Forget who cares what other people see? They got all their own little stuff too. Nobody's really that much better than anybody. I don't care how much money they got or anything. We already know this, but yet people fall in line with thinking that other people have so much more than they do. Oh, they're not this race or ethnicity, so they have so much better chances. Oh, they're not this. Everybody's got some issues. It's human condition, right? So when you can get to that place and you start doing that correction, it feels so sweet. It's almost like you feel reborn again because you're no longer creating from the space of dishonesty, meaning creating things in your life that you don't want. You're being radically honest and beautiful things start to happen and you don't even know that they're happening. You don't even know why. You don't even know why people are doing things for you, why they care so much, why they love so much, right? Because you begin to exude that beautiful light and you begin to shine and show people how amazing it can be on the other side of not giving yourself the beauty of being honest with yourself. It's amazing. Anyway, 3 things that happen when you are radically honest with yourself. I hope you all have a wonderful and manifestation. I believe once you break down those walls, that ego that's trying to keep you in some position and trying to make you think you're better than this and better than that and you're more than this or more than that and that you you don't deserve this or don't deserve that or people are doing this to you and all. When you get past that ego that does that part, it's like, removing a dam and everything flows. Very nice. Very, very nice. Anyway, I hope you all are having a wonderful day. And until next time, like, subscribe, share if you're into that. I love when people share my videos and they say, oh, I got this from someone else. I think that's super cool. That's how I get most of my videos and most of the people that I allow to inspire me to go to another level of some area that I don't completely have a full understanding of. So that's my favorite thing is there's always some area where somebody can be pulling you to the next level. And it's through people, it's through relationship, it's through networking. And I've had a beautiful network of mentors and supporters. And I've not noticed that more so in this past week than I've ever in my total adult life. I was like, wow, you've actually created a network of people that care and you care about them. And it's pretty cool, right? Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful day.